it's one of those things where to me it's like, well, you know what? If we're wrong about it, we're still, developing lots of technology that will result in, cleaner energy forms and less pollution, and will generally improve our welfare, beyond just that of like saving us from global warming. So to me, it's kind of a win-win situation. If we're wrong, well, we still developed lots of new technology that'll help us get off oil for starters. Develop clean technology, wind technology, all that sort of thing, and will reduce pollution, which is a good thing. So it's kind of a win-win. I don't really if I'm being lied to on a global scale, it doesn't concern me that much because the outcome is still good either way. I mean, I don't like being lied to, and if I found out of being lied to, I'd be pissed. But I mean, my commitment to lowering pollution through global initiatives, I think is good, whether it stops global warming or not.
Okay, okay. It all depends. Like, you're such a sucker. I love it. Listen, just bottom line. I agree with everything you said, except it depends on who owns the corporation and who's profiting from all this new technology and how much of it do we really need. Like, do we need to take out every micro millimeter of carbon out of the atmosphere, or can we leave such an amount? Where is the cost benefit analysis? Where are we maximizing the benefit to society? That's what I'm saying. It's like, everything we talked about, like, they're all going against the benefit of the common good of mankind and the public interest. Does that make sense?
Well, it makes sense. I just disagree. I think that a lot of the technology that's coming about as a result of trying to stop global warming, and the general actions that are being taken to stop it are ones that, even if global warming is a myth and isn't actually happening, what we're doing is still having lots of positive results anyway. It's going to lower pollution. It's going to lower dependence on foreign oil, which might also diffuse the Middle East at some point in the far distant future. I mean, there's lots of other reasons besides global warming for doing what we're doing. The major one being it reduces pollution. I mean, pollution back in the 80s was something that we cared about. And then all of a
Okay,
sudden we just
okay,
stopped
okay.
caring about it. And the only reason we started again was because of global warming. I mean, it's
Okay.
still an issue. Reducing pollution is a good thing.
First of all, I majored in environmental economics and energy consultant at Ohio State University, and I've had a garbage company for 5 years. I'd tell you all about pollution in the environment. Okay, what I'm getting at is this: is that why do you want another tax on you if it's not going to solve the problem? There's cheaper ways of solving the problem. What about a hemp-based economy? Huh? What about making our buildings out of hemp? This will reduce the carbon. We don't need all these fancy technologies to achieve the same end. That's what I'm saying. Do you understand that?
Well, I get that, but I mean, I don't know if I heard you call that an easier solution. Hopefully not, because it doesn't sound easier to me. I mean, again, you're talking. It's not it's not feasible to talk about an alternative solution that has no actual real world chance of ever being enacted. I'm sorry, but we're not going to tear down all of our cities and rebuild them out of hemp, or we're not going to change the building codes to require that everything be made out of hemp. We're not going to shift to a hemp-based economy. Like, it's pie in the sky. Yeah, sure, it's a great solution to it. Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure you have all the evidence to back that up. We've got to stick with stuff that actually has a realistic chance of being enacted. The world's not going to shift to a hemp-based economy. I mean, that's just not going to happen. You've got to argue something that's at least feasible. I mean, come on.
Well, you know
I
what?
don't think we're going to change to a hemp-based economy.
Listen, I'm not trying to attack you personally, but your arguments. Now listen to what you're saying. You want to spend billions and trillions of dollars on all this technology that you can do for free. Now who's the fool here? Now come on. This is
Okay, well for well
economy.
for well for starters, I only have your insistence that that's the case. It seems a bit simplistic to say that all of the problems of global warming and pollution can be solved with a hemp-based economy. I mean, that's the kind of thing where just because you majored in it in university, if that was the case and if it was so simple, then I mean, I would think that would be something that would be in the national discourse, especially down in the States where global warming is really like the cause du jour and they're really arguing about it. You'd think someone would
Stop
have come
here.
along on CNN
Stop
and
here
said,
because you know
hey, this is,
absolutely
I'm
nothing
not
about
trying to say you're a liar. I'm just saying, like, again, evidence. Like, I've only got your word for it. You haven't directed me to any websites or anything or published, journals in Nature or Science, something.
Okay, just Google hemp and then start yourself and don't expect me to spoon feed you the information. The problem here isn't that I don't supply support documentation. The problem is you don't know know anything about anything, and you're just yapping all the time. And you got logical conclusions if you do something. Now, you don't agree on him. That's fine. But the problem is that you don't know anything about it. Okay, let's move on to UFOs. I say the government's keeping information from you. What do you say? They're lying to you again. There you go.
Well, I'll certainly agree that the government is keeping information from me. Some of it's probably for a good reason. Most of it probably isn't. Whether or not UFOs have visited the planet, I'm skeptical, but I can't rule it out because the very nature of the claim means that it's really difficult to say absolutely no, we've never been visited by UFOs. No, it's always been a weather balloon or swamp gas or whatever excuse they give. I mean, so that's one of those ones where I think it's really difficult to have a definitive opinion. I'd be as skeptical of someone saying yes, we absolutely have been visited by UFOs. I'd be just as skeptical of that person as I would be of a person who said, no, we've never been visited by UFOs. Like both of those people, I would say, well, how do you know so definitively? How is it possible to reach that conclusion? I mean, how do you do that? It's UFOs, for Christ's sake.
Okay, well, what about the Bible? What about what the Bible says? The Bible, Genesis chapter 4, verse 6, or chapter 6, verse 4, that talks about that there were giants in the earth in them days. What about that? And then you hear all these things about the aliens being 7 foot tall, 10 foot tall, and some of these skeletons they discovered about people that are 10 foot tall. Isn't there any connection there? What about the Celtics and the Mayan history? They talk about being flying in ships and shooting weapons at each other from their spaceship.
Yes, Chris.
There's plenty of evidence there.
Yes, Chris. What about all that?
Oh God! All right. Well, for starters, the Bible is not credible evidence of anything except occasionally where you might find some ruins of old cities. The Mayans and all that sort of thing. Well, I mean, that's one of those things. Tales of UFOs, I mean, they didn't call them UFOs back in the days of the Mayans, but tales of that sort of thing have happened since the dawn of time. I mean, so what does that prove? Does it prove that there's UFOs, or does it prove that there is some kind of, psychologically, some kind of human compunction to find aliens and unexplained phenomena? I mean, again, I can't say for sure. Have aliens visited Earth? I don't know. There's one where I'm more than happy to admit my ignorance. I really don't know. Now, the question is, do I think anyone else can know definitively? Well, short of actually, being at Roswell and seeing the damn thing crash, I think it'd be very difficult. Just seeing some colored lights bobbing around in the sky, chances are you've seen a weather balloon or a plane, or if you want to be really conspiracy theory based, you've seen some kind of top secret, like Alpha Aurora bomber that the CIA is flying around or something, because that actually happens too. I mean, UFOs, I think we have better things to talk about than UFOs. That's one where it's just like, I'm willing to admit, you can't be absolutely for one way or the other. There's no way to confirm it or deny it. It's, we'll know when we know. Hopefully it'll be like that movie Contact, and we'll get some kind of instructions on how to build some kind of wormhole device or something. And hopefully the ending's better than meeting your goddamn father.
Okay, let's back this up and clarify. Now what we talked about here is what I'm trying to get across to you is that the government lies to you and will do things that will kill you, and they'll do it with no remorse. Okay, that's what I'm saying. That's my statement I'm going to make. Now, we talked about drug prohibition, and you agree that what's going on isn't working, but yet it's went on for 30 years, and they're talking about more prohibition, more enforcement. Okay? We talked about Stephen Harper being a member of the Illuminati, and here again, you can do some research and you can prove me wrong on that. I'd rather leave that at that rather than me try and spoon feed you all the information. All you have to do is just Google this stuff. You can talk about him, and in the conversation with him, we agreed that it was a great idea. You just thought it was pie in the sky and it was unworkable, because no one would ever go along with it. We talked about global warming, and we agreed that the government. Did we agree the government's lying about that? Chris?
Okay, is the government lying about global warming?
Yeah.
Is that the question?
Yes.
Well, I have no idea if the government's lying about global warming or not. Right now, I think it's still a matter of no one really knows for certain if global warming is happening. Even the scientists who are